It's not about being less than, it's just about being wired differently.
So today's episode is about ADHD and how you can use it as a superpower and not a boat anchor.
And we're also going to reframe it as neurodivergence, and we'll get into that a little bit more.
What is neurodivergent?
So neurodivergence is a non-medical term that simply describes a brain that processes, learns, or behaves differently than what's considered typical or expected by society. It's not about being less than, it's just about being wired differently. These aren't mental illnesses, they're brain differences that impact how people think, focus, regulate emotions, and interact with the world. So when we say someone is neurodivergent, we're not labeling them as broken. We're recognizing that their brain works in a way that may require different supports, but also often brings unique strengths, creativity, and insight. We're also not saying that neurodivergence is an excuse to not grow in self-discipline, and we'll get into that a little bit later as well.
So why do we have to label these things different all the time? I got to be honest, I feel so burdened by every year. There's all these new words that we have to change, all these new sayings that we can't say anymore that we have to now change it to this other word. It feels very overwhelming and it feels like it's just somebody trying to make themselves more self-important.
Sure.
I'm saying that's how it feels to me, is someone's like, can't we just keep it the way that it is and understand it better instead of having to create a new term, create a new thing, a new social justice movement around the language that we use? I am so burned out on this thing. It drives me absolutely crazy because it feels like it becomes this buzzword now of self-importance, just like we saw when people are like, oh, that person is narcissistic. And then that became the buzzword. Now everybody is diagnosing every bad relationship as being a narcissist. And I just can't deal with it anymore. It reminds me of the book 1984, where it's called Newspeak. And we just keep changing words so they mean something different to keep the population confused. And that's how I'm feeling right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that's how you're feeling, and I can understand how it looks that way. So for me, using the term neurodivergent isn't for self-importance, it's for understanding, right? Because I listed all the things that fall under neurodivergence, right? And so this way I don't have to say, the people with ADHD and Tourette's and OCD and autism spectrum. Like, it's just like there's a neurodivergent brain and there's a neurotypical brain. And society has been raised on this neurotypical brain, and it's created the people with the neurodivergent brain to have a lot of negative effects, such as the school system is for the neurotypical brain. The neurodivergent brain doesn't excel well in that system, and so a lot of them are put into special ed.
Yeah, I was going to say they have a special class for this. It's called special ed.
So the term special ed, right, has its own negative annotations, right? So like the window lickers and the short bus,
But it is a smaller bus. Like, it is a shorter bus. Like, that's the real
deal. That's totally fine. But let me
window licker. Okay.
Let me give you
maybe if they're like young Army cadets or lickers.
Wow. Okay, crayon eaters. Listen, let me give you a perfect example. My husband, he is a brilliant man. He can fix almost anything. He can go in and figure out mechanically. He's very artistic. He just has his communication is completely different, right? And he was in special ed. And it's because he didn't fit into the mold of sitting in a class, and his brain worked a little differently. And those kids growing up, especially, he's a little older. So if they didn't fit into the mold, they were considered dumb or undisciplined. Some of it is undisciplined, right? And there's a lot of good reasons why people say, I don't want the label ADHD, right? Because there was a huge push for a kid with bad behavior. We're just going to slap that on them. ADHD, when really they just need structure and discipline in the home, right? And there's so much research out now that, especially out of Europe, right? Like 70% of negative symptoms of ADHD can be controlled with proper lifestyle. Lifestyle meaning limited screen times, clean eating, structure in their day as far as getting movement in, and a proper circadian rhythm. Okay, if you get those things, 70% of the population who have ADHD or these neurodivergent negative traits that they want to veer away from can be controlled over those things, and we just throw medication at these children so quickly, and even adults. And the medication is ruining your kids. So, I would say 1 out of 50 people with a neurodivergent brain could benefit from medication. The rest, it should be controlled with proper diet, proper movement or exercise, proper discipline around screens, and a proper circadian rhythm, good sleep. If you're throwing medication at your kids, I'm telling you, you're hurting them. You're not helping them. Okay, off my soapbox. So they threw medication at my husband and he became a zombie. And just to fit into this mold of this is how you're supposed to look or act or whatever. When, like, again, we're not giving an excuse for people.
No, but that's what people use it as, Jess. I see this a lot. Influencers or people going online and saying like, oh, I'm ADHD, so that's why I'm this way. And now you all have to now accept this behavior that I have and this disruption that I create and these wild mood swings that I have because now I have this ADHD. It's like a badge of honor now. It's this victim mentality of, who can stack rank their victim mentality higher.
Yes.
Is the trump card. And I'm like,
Yes.
when did we celebrate the fact that you're a jerk? When did that become a thing?
Yeah.
And so that's where I really struggle with this newspeak, these labels, we're just not going to call it that anymore. We're going to call it something different. So it's easier for people to wave that flag. That's what I see.
Yes. And I see it as well. And that's
that
why
makes me crazy.
Sure.